Hi, and thanks for your lovely comments. It's awesome to see so many people wanting to do the very best by their horses. Last time we discussed the three vital but so often overlooked aspects of training, being the emotional level of the horse, the ability to break a lesson down into the spot, direction, motivator and reward, and how we need to remain proactive and avoid reacting to our horse's behaviour if we want confident, relaxed and happy horses during training. I'm excited today because I'm going to show you how to apply these principles in a real-life training situation. We're going to discuss each of these three elements and apply them to teaching your horse to stand by the mounting block or fence for mounting. At the conclusion of this video, you'll be able to go and teach your horse this lesson, and I can't wait to hear how you get on. So don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know. So first, let's break the lesson down into the spot, direction, motivator and reward as discussed yesterday. Now the reason it's so important to know the exact spot on the horse we're moving and the exact direction we want it to go is because when that spot moves in that direction, we need to release and reward. If we're trying to get the whole horse to the mounting block, for example, it's hard to know when to release and reward. Do we do it when the whole horse comes a bit closer? What if the shoulders move closer but the hindquarter actually moves further away? What if the horse comes all the way and then backs off or walks forward? Do we release and reward then? You can see that it's way too difficult, and if we're unsure exactly when to release, how on earth is the horse supposed to know when he or she has done the right thing? We could be trying for days to get the whole horse standing quietly by the mounting block before we felt we should release and reward, right? Okay, we know better than this because we're going to break the lesson down for ourselves as much as for the horse. So the spot, what will that be? At the end of the lesson, I want to be able to step up on the mounting block or fence, if that's all I have, and point to the hindquarters and have the horse move its hindquarters to me so that it's standing alongside the block so that I can mount easily. I also want the horse to remain there until it's cued to move off, which of course is self-carriage. This means that the spot on the horse I want to move is the left hind. I'm going to be standing on the left-hand side of the horse because that's the side I mount from. And I want the left hind to move left towards me so that I'll be aligning the horse with the mounting block. Okay, we have a spot, the left hind. We have a direction to the left. For the motivator, I'm going to use my voice first and say the word hips, and then I'm going to use the dressage whip to tap just gently on the left hip. Righto, before you say, but that's confusing, or the horses only move away from pressure, just hear me out. One of the reasons I love this lesson is that it makes it very clear to owners who use it that it doesn't matter what your cue is as long as your release is good. If you release the pressure when the horse steps left with the left hind, the horse will make that connection. It's all about making the pattern clear for the horse, the spot, the direction, the motivator and the reward sequence. Also, you'll find very quickly with this lesson, if your release is timely, that you don't require the whip for very long at all, and your horse will begin to move its left hind left as soon as you point at the hindquarters or click your fingers or actually even just step up on the fence or the mounting block. I realize a lot of people feel the need to reach over the other side of the horse and tap the horse on the right hindquarter, but I encourage you to try this. I think you'll be surprised at just how easily your horse learns when it has a good pattern and a timely release. We do way underestimate our horse's ability to learn, especially good patterns. They're just experts at this stuff. Finally, the reward is to stop tapping and praise the horse with a soft word and a scratch. Let's get into the lesson now with a young quarter horse, Dodds. This is the first attempt at this lesson, and I want you to watch how the behaviour is shaped. I don't ask for everything at once. I get a bit, reward that, and then ask for a bit more. Also, pay close attention to Dodds' emotional level. He begins quite high and then relaxes, and his focus improves as the lesson progresses. But at no time is he asleep or anxious. Dodds is in the engagement zone. This, as we discussed last time, getting the horse in the engagement zone is pivotal to not only your success, but the horse's happiness. A relaxed and engaged horse is a happy horse. Now here we are with young Dodds. I just want to point out the position that I'm standing in. So you can see I'm quite a bit in front of Dodds. I'm holding his bridle very close to the bit there so that I have good control of his head, and I'm pointing the dressage whip up towards his hind quarter. We know that his hind quarter can move in 6 different directions. Remember, we're only looking at that left hind foot, and the direction we want is to move left, but we know it can go up, down, back, forward, right and left, and we only want one direction. So by holding him close to the fence here, that makes it very difficult for him to move his left hind to the right. So that's helping him out a lot. By holding him close to the bridle, it makes it quite difficult for him to move back or forward. So what we're doing is we're limiting his choices. So the most likely choice is going to be his easiest choice, which is to move it left. So it's important to have him in this position to make it easier for him. Now I'm going to take you through the movement in slow motion. I'm maintaining my position there in front of him, and I tapped him lightly on the hind quarter and stopped tapping immediately that left foot started moving left, and this is his reward. He gets a scratch and a kind word and a little bit of a rest, and then we start again. Now I want him to move forward before I start again, so I'm just going to ask him forward a little bit. We don't want him to feel boxed in, so moving him forward a little bit is a good idea first, and then I'm going to simply ask him again. The rest of this lesson is in real time, so this is the first time I've asked him. You can see the whip is making a bit of contact with him there. One of the things I want you to notice as we go on is how much less pressure he requires as we go along. And you need to think about emotional level. You can see there his emotional level just went up, his head went up, and he switched his tail a little bit. So I need to be careful that I don't get him too emotional. I need him emotional enough to be engaged and looking for an answer, but not so emotional as he's getting distressed about it, obviously. Right there, that was a great step. I didn't need much whip pressure at all, and he gave me a really nice step. I'm going to walk him forward a little bit, because if I ask him when his hind quarter is already away from the fence, it's easier for him to make a mistake, and I don't want him to make a mistake at this stage. At the beginning here, what I'm really trying to do is just associate that whip with the hind quarter. Now I'm going around the other side. There's a good reason for this. The reason is that if I keep moving him forward again after he moves his hindquarter to the left, if you watch his hindquarter in that movement, it actually moves away from the fence rather than back towards the fence. But if I go around the other side, that teaches him, 1, to stand still, and 2, it moves his hindquarters away back to the fence. See, right there when I walked him forward, his hindquarters moved away from the fence. So I don't want him, back to the fence, I'm sorry. So I don't want him to do that. I don't want him learning the pattern that we move away from the fence and then back to the fence and away from the fence and back to the fence. So when you think they're good at sort of this stage, this is a good time to start going around the other side. Now watch his hindquarters when I lead him off from the right. So his hindquarters now go closer to the fence. Now for him, that might be the pattern. We're not really sure where the pattern starts and finishes in the horse's mind. So it's important that we take that into account. The other thing is I teach this to horses that aren't yet started under saddle. So the first thing I'm going to want them to do is step off to the right. So that's also good. It also teaches them to wait. So they learn to stand there and wait until they're asked to do something else. And that, of course, is self-carriage. And it gives me a chance to go through the whole pattern again, because what I want him to learn eventually is that I just stand up on the fence or the mounting block and then he comes to me. So we'll look at the whip now. Now what I'm trying to do is get him to side pass down the fence. Now the reason this is such a good exercise is that it stops your horse feeling boxed in. Just sometimes if you're not giving them quite enough space at their head there, they might feel a little bit boxed in. This is a nice thing to do, and it also shows you how connected the hindquarter is to that cue, to that lifting the whip cue. And right there you could see, you know, I know that I can move his shoulders, so I can always move his shoulders down the track. And now I just want to make sure that his hindquarters are connected to that cue mentally. And so that side pass exercise shows me that. And now you see he's much quicker off the mark there. I'm still holding the whip up because if he doesn't respond, I can touch him with it. Whereas, you know, I don't want to drop the whip yet, just in case he makes that mistake, so I can remind him by touching him with the whip. You see how his emotional level has settled down? The lesson has only been a few minutes. You have seen absolutely all of this lesson with this horse. This can make it a little bit more difficult for some horses. You see his head's slightly higher, so it's a little bit more emotional with me up there, simply because you're asking from a different angle, so it is a little bit different. If your horse finds it more difficult and you've got a mounting block, just stand on the first step of the mounting block first and work your way up to this. This is a great place to let them stand and rest. You know, it's absolutely perfect because that's exactly what you're going to want them to do when you are actually mounting, especially if this is a horse that has a tendency to wander off when you're mounting, or a horse that hasn't yet been started under saddle. This is fantastic. Great place to habituate your horse to having you above him as well, if your horse hasn't done that before. Again, leading him off from the right. Back now, my pattern is changing, so you can see now my pattern, my cue is becoming, whoops, I scared him a bit there, my cue is becoming getting up on the mounting block. And quite quickly you'll find with your horse, once you establish this pattern, you start walking up to the mounting block or the fence, wherever it is you get on, and the horse just moves his hips straight away. And that's great because that means it's become an automatic behavior, which is what we're trying to build all the time. We're trying to build automatic responses. So I'm not going to get on him because I'm not wearing a helmet and I don't ride without a helmet, but it's a great place to do all of this. This horse hasn't yet been ridden, and so this is a really good place to get them used to that. A lot of people think that horse training is all about feel, so they won't be able to learn it from a distance or online in this way. Now, of course, it is about feel, but it's about your feel, your timing, recognition of the horse's emotional level, and knowledge of the principles you're applying. No one, no matter how close they are standing to you, can do that for you. As you teach your horse more simple lessons, such as the hips to the fence that we looked at today, you'll see how much each of these things improves, and you'll develop a new sense of feel that you never knew existed. What you're doing is building a bubble of communication, a place where you and the horse communicate in pressure, release, reward patterns, where the horse is engaged with learning and relaxed and happy. You can build this bubble or work with your horse in the engagement zone with any lesson you choose, from a simple stand to be mounted lesson that we looked at today to flying changes or lateral work under saddle. And next time I'm going to break down another lesson for you, this time one that so many people have problems with, but I'll show you just how simple it can be and how your horse can actually enjoy the process of learning in a relaxed and engaged way. I look forward to seeing you then, but in the meantime, please do leave me a comment here. Tell me about the horse you're going to teach hips to the fence with. I'd love to hear from you. Bye.